Welcome to Firearms of America. Today, as you guys can see, I'm freezing out here in Shooters in Fort Myers, Florida, because in Florida it's cold today. Not as cold in the other states, but it's pretty cold for us Florida people, especially for me, coming from the desert of Central Asia. Okay, enough with all this stuff. Today, I'm doing a very interesting comparison. Some of you guys, a lot of you guys requested this comparison, and I wanted to do it for a while. We had this thing in stock and didn't have that in stock, and then had that and didn't have this. Now finally we have both. Today, the comparison I have between two very popular 380 auto concealed carry options. Number one, Glock, my favorite. 42, yes, Glock 42, which was actually my personal concealed carry gun for a very long time, for like 3 years. That's what I carried on me, and I absolutely love it. It's really good. 3.2 inch barrel, 6 rounds in the magazine. Pretty impressive stuff. But we also have another super popular option, probably even more popular than the Glock 42, I have to say, because they did a fantastic job with the gun. We have Sig Sauer P365, yes, P365, for every day of the year. Concealed carrying this thing right here. Also chambered in 380 ACP, 380 auto, however you like to call it. 3.1 inch barrel and 10 rounds in the magazine. 10 rounds. Now you might be thinking, like, hey man, this is like 6 hours already winning. It has a shorter barrel and it has 4 extra, well, my math is horrible, like 4 rounds over the Glock, right? Pretty fantastic. But we do have a few advantages over the Glock. First of all, because it's a single stack, you have a slimmer profile overall compared to a Sig. Check this out. So yes, it is a little bit easier, more comfortable to carry. It's a little bit easier to conceal, Glock 42, that is. But let's do some shooting and see what both things can do. I have some 380 auto from MagTag, I think originally from Brazil. Pretty sure they're from Brazil. Yes, Brazil. Guess I'll put some of this stuff in. Let's do 5 rounds in each. 5 rounds in each. Now, I'll start loading the magazine from the Sig Sauer. Obviously, double stack, steel, and it's very easy to load, I have to say. The spring is super nice, very beginner friendly, and it is actually numbered at one of the sides, not this side, but this side right here. Check this out. Only number 5 and number 10. So we're gonna put number 5 in, and yes, and now it shows up. Check this out. Very nice. So let's grab the Glock magazine. Single stack. It's definitely a little bit easier, and that's the advantage of the single stack. They will always be easier to load than the double stack. That's just the way it is. You know, things will never be the same. Okay, so very easy to load, and numbered all the way through, all the way to 6. Yes, so we got 4 rounds in, 5 rounds, 5. Put this thing on silent so nobody bothers me. And I'm gonna be aiming at this little white circle up right here. Small target with 3.1 and 3.2 inch barrel. This is 380, so there will be some recoil, but we'll see exactly how much. I will start with, which one should I start? I'll start with the Sig Sauer. Let's do that. Okay. So Sig Sauer. Surprisingly very easy to rack this thing. Honestly, I'm surprised, but let's see how the recoil on this thing is. Woo! Not a huge fan of the trigger, I have to say, but I still got a good shot right there on target. No problemo. Not bad. Wow. Very close group, and I got 3 out of 5. So with the Glock, I'm gonna do the orange right down here. Let's see. A little bit harder to rack compared to the Sig, but let's see what we can do with the recoil. Oh wow! Yeah. Didn't like back on the last round. Okay, so I have to say my group was a little bit more all over the place with the Glock compared to the Sig. I don't know if you can see it. You know what? Let me zoom in actually, and I'll show you that the group on the there we go. Focus. Yeah, that's it. So you see my Glock group is a little bit more all over the place, but I am honestly surprised because the recoil, you definitely feel less on the Glock compared to the Sig Sauer, and I'll explain exactly why. It's because when I was racking the Sig Sauer, I was like, okay, this is super easy to rack. I mean, you don't expect that light of the spring in something as compact as this. Obviously, on the plus side, easier to rack. On the negative side is you're gonna have a little bit more recoil because the lighter spring. Compared to the Glock, where it is a little bit harder to rack, but with that, you have that heavier spring that absorbs more energy from the recoil. But we'll talk about all of that later. Let's start from the very beginning, comparing both of these. Let's start with the grip, and since I started with the Sig Sauer, let's start with the Sig Sauer. I love this stippling. I have to say, this is not hand stipple, obviously. This is laser stippling, but this is as close as the hand stippling as you can get. Very nice, feels very good, plenty of aggression, and because you have a little pinky extension here on the magazine, you can have a full, proper grip on this grip. Now, compared to the Glock, where it's super thin, so you kind of feel a little bit left out whenever it comes. Now, the Glock, it does also come with a pinky extension if you want that, but even without the pinky extension, it's still decent. It's super tiny, super slim, so probably if you have bigger hands, you probably would appreciate Sig Sauer more because it's a wider, there's just more to the grip compared to the Glock. Glock is more for small hands, like, for example, what I have. Now, let's move on to the mag release. Mag release, we have a very nice area here, very easy to catch on the Glock. Same thing I have to say on the Sig Sauer, very similar. I do have to say I do like the, I do have to say I do everything freaking I do. I don't, but the spring loaded, it kind of like jumps out, the mag release jumps out, so I do like it. Yes, I have to say. Okay, moving further to the slide release, we got our little tiny slide release here on the Sig Sauer, and as you can see, it is one-hand operation. Now, on the Glock, the slide release sits a little bit further, so for shorter hands, you're gonna, I think this thing is designed for smaller hands, shorter fingers like myself, because it's just so much easier, so much closer to catch that. Same thing right here, and one-hand operation. A little bit heavier now because it's a brand new gun, but once you do it a few times, you kind of listen. Slide release, slide stop. This is more of a slide stop than a slide release, but it really freaking doesn't matter. Whatever. For like super picky viewers, now you know. Okay, you probably noticed that this version of the P365 has the manual safety switch. This is another advantage of the Sig Sauer. If you do prefer to have a manual safety on your handgun, on the Sig Sauer, you have that option. On the Glock, no. They never had a safety, manual safety, and they never probably will, so you're kind of left out. Now, moving further, on the Sig Sauer, nothing much on the trigger guard, nice and smooth over there, so you can't really have this kind of grip because you're gonna be sliding off. Compared to the Glock, check this out. Yes, there is some serration at the front, so for compact grip like this, if you want to do that, you can definitely do that. Now, nothing on the no accessory rail on the Glock, just because it's super slim profile. Compared to the Sig Sauer, there is a 1913 style Picatinny accessory rail for your flashlight, for laser, whatever. Serrations on the back, serrations on the front, serrations only on the back on the Glock. No MOS on the Glock, no MOS 42, there is no such thing. However, on the P365, there is an option for MOS. Check this out. Okay, so let me load up some more rounds into this, and we'll do some more shooting. I'll put 3 rounds here, and we'll do rapid fire. Yeah, put it through crazy dangerous test. 3 rounds. And I have to say, for whenever it comes to compact guns like this, it's like 3-inch barrel, you know, 3.1, 3.2 inch barrel. I do like to have them with the 380. I think the 9mm, not only there's more recoil, obviously kicks more, but if you're carrying or if you're concealed carrying a gun, you're most likely going to be concealed carrying, you know, carrying it with a hollow point rounds, which is obviously the best practice if you want to be effective, right, with your stopping power. With the shorter barrel like that, with a 3.1, 3.2 short barrels like this, there is just not enough of that terminal velocity for that hollow point to open up all the way. Compared to the 380, just because it's more designed for compact stuff. It's lighter, it's smaller. Yes, it doesn't have as much of a punch as a 9mm, but that's just something you sacrifice if you're going so comfortably small. Okay, so 3 rounds in both. Gonna do some rapid fire. This time I'll start with the Glock and I'll try to aim at that yellow little circle at the very bottom because it's still untouched. Starting with the Glock. Not too shabby. I have to say they're both very easy to manipulate. Even though considering there's such a short barrel, you would expect a lot of recoil. No, not at all. Not at all. I really do like it. I have to say though, less recoil on the Glock, a little bit more recoil on the Sig. Nothing crazy, just something for you to keep in mind. Okay, so let's talk about the sights. Sights now, obviously on the Glock, we have standard Glock sights, just like they're on every other Glock. Just a little bar. I am used to the Glock sights. I mean, for some people that might be something new, but once you do get used to them, you can do a pretty good job. Just make sure the posts align. Now with the Sig Sauer, you have a more traditional 3-dot sight. Nothing crazy over here. Honestly, I do like the Sig Sauer. Sorry, I do like the Sig Sauer sights a little bit more, just because they're more traditional, just a little bit easier to get used to. Now let's talk about the trigger. We're going to start with the Sig Sauer. We have about 3.5mm of very safe, very familiar travel, and then we have this unknown, like just mystery. Like, so it's very familiar, and then mystery here. Man, keep going, and then at some point it just snaps. So familiar, unfamiliar, unfamiliar, keep going. Oh, I think it might be the last point. And then crisp break. So, not as easy to get used to as on some guns, but let's see what we have on the Glock. Standard Glock. What we have on the Glock? Wow, let's find out. So we have the safe action system, which we don't have on the Sig Sauer. I mean, it does have the drop safety protection, which is what it is, the safe action system. But I do like the fact that this has it for kind of like a psychological feeling. You know that you have a finger on the trigger, even though your finger is not on the trigger technically yet. It's on the pre-trigger, all right? But then you have a very safe, familiar, about 3mm, 3.5mm, and then you have a little bit of this, and then you know it's gonna be a crisp break. So I have to say, with the Glock trigger, it's a little bit easier to get used to compared to the Sig Sauer, just because the Sig Sauer trigger is a little bit mushy. Both of them not ideal in any way, I have to say, but still, Glock is just a tiny little bit better whenever it comes to the trigger than the Sig Sauer. Okay, so let's do 3 more rounds on both, and then we'll try to come up with a more or less reasonable conclusion. So I also have, after I'm done with this comparison, I also have this compact Canic right here for a review. Honestly, I have to say I really do like this gun. The trigger's unbelievable on that gun, but the first time I reviewed it, it gave me so much problems. It was jamming like every other round. So since then, we actually sent it back to Canic, and supposedly they replaced something on it. I think they replaced the guide wrap, but we'll find out. And supposedly, it's not supposed to be jamming anymore, but we'll find out. If you're interested in seeing that review, make sure to subscribe because that will be coming. Okay, ear protection. I'll try to hit this orange a few more times, and this time I'll start with the Sig Sauer. Not too shabby. That thing is accurate. Glock. Yeah. Man, that thing is accurate. But it didn't lag back again on the last round, which is surprising. I have my finger probably running because my grip is always like this, so that's probably me. User error, not the game. But in the conclusion, man, both guns are fantastic. Whichever one you decide to go with, they're both really, really good. You do get a little bit better, more comfortable carry with the Glock 42 compared to the Sig Sauer. Just a tiny little bit, just a little bit slimmer, a little bit more concealable, a little bit lighter, a little bit better trigger, a little bit easier to get used to the Glock trigger compared to the Sig. But at the same time, you're sacrificing those 4 rounds of ammo. It's my finger so dirty. But you're compromising and sacrificing that 4 rounds of ammunition, 4 rounds. So that's kind of significant. Also, a little bit shorter barrel on the Sig Sauer, a little bit lighter, easier to rack, but at the same time, just a tiny little bit recoil. Still, as you can see, even with that, you can be accurate. Again, whichever one you decide to go with, you're gonna appreciate them both. Probably shorter hands, you're gonna like, not shorter hands, shorter fingers, smaller hands. Glock, a little bit bigger hands, Sig Sauer. So I hope you will be able to make a good, reasonable decision after this unreasonable review. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this comparison. If you have any requests for comparisons or reviews, drop them in the comments below. As always, thank you very much for watching. God bless you all, and I'll see you guys in the next video.